Hello again, and it's time for another project. Today we're going to route out this Oscar the Grouch from the TV series Sesame Street. I Google Oscar the Grouch colouring pages and you'll find them just like this, and then you can Google the same Oscar the Grouch template and that'll give you all the nice colours that you need for painting afterwards. Just easier on your printout that you can just print out the black and white, saving on your inks of course. On previous projects I've been using tracing paper and drawing round. Originally this was going to be a larger piece and I was going to glue two sections together, but once we've cut it out it does actually just fit on a 6" by 12" this project. Piece of rough fencing wood, and it is quite rough when you first get it. You just take a couple of minutes, just give it a nice sanding down, and it's worth the effort. As always for me, we've stuck on our template with some painter's tape. I like to get a biro, literally draw around it once you've put your carbon paper or graphite paper underneath. That way you can pull that off and we can use that over and over again should we want to. Now there's our little image. That's plenty for what we want for today, and what we're going to do today is we're going to route out all the unshaded areas. It's a personal choice. I've done projects where I would just route out the black section, put your black paint in, sand it down, and then paint the rest as desired. But on this one, just to make a bit more work and just to make it stand out a little bit better, we're going to route out everything but the black lines. So I've took my time to shade those in, because you will go away, come back and just start removing those. So just be careful shading the areas that you either want to leave or shading the areas that you want to take away. It's entirely up to you. So we've got our piece of wood there, and literally you can see we've just to say squeezed him in. We'll have to modify that bit. Same there, and we'll just to say got him in over there. So that's our template all sorted nicely. For the line work, I like to use my CNC bits. I use these on all my projects. They come in different degrees, 20s and 30s in that packet there. These are 10s and 15s, and the degree is literally just a point at the end there. That'll just come in a minute. Or not. Okay, no, not to worry. There we go. So that's a 20 degree, and that's just literally the point on that. 10s would obviously be a lot narrower, 30s would be a lot wider. And we're going to use this to go round the outline of each one of these black sections. Never route out on the line, because by the time you've gone up that side of there on the line and come back down the other side on the line, that little section in the middle will be half the size again. So we start off over on this side and route up to the line, and we're on this side and we route up to the line on that side. And that way hopefully it will leave us that nice section, more or less what we need. It doesn't have to be perfect. Some might be slightly larger than others. Some might be a bit thinner. We might have a thicker border on by the time we cut it out with a scroll saw. But we'll talk about that near the time. I've been working on 3mm for my depth. That is literally the size of your CNC bit, 3.175. I'm going to call it 3mm. So I made a little gauge light, so you can purchase depth gauges. And that fits in there nicely, just flush with the top of the wood. I know that is 3mm. That one's just a little bit too deep. I know once I get that in my router, for that you'll need an adapter collet, a 6.35mm. And that literally slots into the silver end like so. Nice and firm in there. And that end slots into your 1/4" router. Then we put the router base on there and we'll set that CNC to that depth there. We know we've got a 3mm depth. We'll go around all these lines like I say, so we've got a fair bit to do to set us off with. On some of these smaller sections we'll just use a CNC bit to remove that, even some of these bigger pieces here. For the rest of it we'll pop on one of these end milling bits. These come in a nice pack of 10 end milling bits. We'll get one that fits in between our sections, so we don't want something too big. We have some tighter areas around here, around there should I say, but it soon comes off with those, and they literally fit the same adapter collet. So you just pop out your CNC bit, slide that into the barrier up to there, set it to the same depth, remember, so 3mm again, or we will have some section on here that's been removed, and we'll basically just remove the rest of the wood. Once that's all nicely cleared out, we've got our basic shape looking at us. We'll get a scroll saw and literally just spin around this and cut it all out. Okay, we'll pop the CNC bit into our router. We'll set it to 3mm and we'll start routing out the lines on this one. Right, you can just about see we have actually gone around all these lines with our CNC bit. You notice up here, I literally just removed those with the bits themselves. And you could actually do the full thing with just one CNC bit, but obviously it would take you a while to do it. You just sit up there, remove those sections as well. So it's still rough and ready, and it's not looking overly fantastic, but once we've cleaned it all up, we've gone down with our end milling bits, which are going to be these ones there, obviously. We'll set that to the same depth as one of these sections that we've already removed, and it's just a simple case of removing your CNC bit like so, popping that into there. Oh, to that little barrier. That's quite a new thing, is that barrier. That's not always been on the older bits I used to have. But just push it up so it more or less bangs up against it. And we pop the black section into your router. And then we'll look to set it to the same depth of any of these sections here. Well, I also did a couple of sample ones up there, or use your little depth gauge thing. Okay, we'll pop that in the router. Start removing all the rest of the wood, and hopefully it might look a little bit better than it does at this moment in time. Right, you can see from that we've made it all the way around with the end milling bits, no problem. And lucky so far we haven't lost any bits. There's some quite small ones here. I thought some of them might have popped off, but they're still there for now. But it doesn't even matter if they pop off. If that was to disappear, it would certainly want to affect the project itself or the end result. So don't panic if you're going around and some of that breaks off. Just sand it down and just have a shorter version on there. We don't want it exactly the same as the template that we're using. Okay, moving on to the next stage. For me, I like to cut this out first, literally on a scroll saw. Nothing too fantastic. Nice, easy cut on this one. Basically just going to go around the edges. Once it's been cut away from the surrounding wood, we'll use a flexi cable like this on a Dremel and literally just go in there and give it all a nice tidy up, nice clean up. For that I like to use engraving bits You get a nice packet of 30 like that, different sizes, different shapes. And I like to use one with a nice flat end on, something like that one there. Just about to see that. It'll come in focus in a minute. There we go. So it's got a nice flat bottom on it, and that's just ideal just for getting in there and cleaning it all out. So we'll cut it out first on the scroll saw with a spiral blade I like to use. There's 3 different types of blade. I can just quickly go through them. This is a spiral blade. It's obviously called a spiral blade because the teeth are spiraled the full length. When you have it in your saw, it wants to feel smooth on the way down and rough on the way up. At least you know it's in the right way. The good thing about spiral blades, they do cut in any direction. So you very rarely have to turn your wood too much. I mean, it's a small piece, you wouldn't have to use it on this one, but I just like to use them. So we can start off there, and if you just feed that round, like so, and it's all cut out nicely. Another version of a blade is a pin blade. We've got little pins on the end like so. Both ends, they're on your more basic and cheaper swords. Literally clip them on like that. You want to be smooth on the way down, rough on the way up, and the teeth want to be facing towards you. That way you know it's in the right way. And this would cut this one out just as easy. You just have a bit more turning to do. We could start there, come in, and then we'd have to turn that wood to do that section, and then turn it to do that section, and then turn, and turn it again. No problem on little projects like this. But if you're doing a 25-inch piece, you're just not going to turn it around on your saw. So they're pin blades, and there's also a pinless blade. There's different versions of pinless blades. Teeth going one way, teeth going up, but they're all basically the same thing. And these fit with a clamp, top and bottom. Teeth towards you again. You can see how small they are. Hopefully. There we go. So, same again, smooth on the way down, rough on the way up, and you know your blade's in the right way. It's facing towards you. So there are your 3 blades. It's a personal thing. I just like to use a spiral blade, pegas number 5. So we'll pop it on the scroll saw now, literally cut this out, and then we'll get onto the flexi cable and give it a nice cleaning out and a bit of sandpaper, and then we're hopefully ready to paint it. Right, you can see from that we've cut it all out nicely with our spiral blade, pegas number 5 for me. I basically use them on all my projects and they cut fine. I've certainly got no issues with them. Spiral blades are one of those things where you'll either love or hate them, and they're definitely not for everybody. They do complain about it not being a smooth enough cut, but I'm quite happy with that. I certainly can't see any issues with that on there. We've got the fluffy stuff to take off. That's just a simple case of a bit of sandpaper like so, and that removes that off in seconds. Okay, there's our basic shape. All we've got to do now is general tidy up. We've got our engraving bit in the flexi cable. We're just going to go around now and give it a nice tidy up, and then we use the sandpaper just to shape these edges off and tidy it up, and then we'll get onto the painting side of things. We'll also put a slit in the back for hanging purposes. Right, that's enough sanding down and clearing up for me. You got to remember, it's just rough, cheap fencing wood at the end of the day. So you will get basically what you pay for. But we'll get a little project out of it. Remember, these are just nice, fun, easy projects that basically anybody can do. There's no skill involved. in making these personally. All you're doing is following a line with a router and a line with a scroll saw. If you can do those two things, you'll certainly have no problem making these. Just before we start painting it, we're just going to put a little slit in the back. I use what they call a T-slot bit. This one's a 5/16. There we go. And that will basically cut out a keyhole effect, similar to what we have there. I have one made out on a scrap bit of wood like this, and I use the same one every time. So I basically put that into my router. You don't need the adapter collet, it's got a 1/4 inch shaft on it. Remember, it's a keyhole T-slot bit, and this one is 5/16. So I can just get it right just to show you when it focuses. There we go, 5/16. It's the smallest one I could find at the time. And I will pop that in the router, lower it down into that slit there. I know it go across, and I know that's plenty to hold one of my screws in. I'll just find one quickly to show you. Something like that. And that will fit in there nicely. And that's enough to hold your project in place. The further you have your screw drilled into your wall or your fence, the tighter it will be to slide that on. If it feels like it's too tight, just take the screw out of the wall slightly, and that will slide on a lot easier. They do come in different sizes, and obviously if you've got bigger screws, find a bigger bit. I'll just pop this into the router quickly, just to show you how I do the slit in there. On bigger projects, I've got a Wilma Flintstone. She's actually got 2 slits in, one there and one there. But I'm just going to try one on this one for now. And if it's not hanging proper, we can always pop in another slit at the bottom. Okay, we'll do this first, and then we're on to the painting side of things. Okay, we're heading towards the finishing line now. We've got our slit put in nicely for hanging purposes. All that's left now is for us to paint it. I use just cheap acrylic paints, Crawford and Black Mine. No wood sealer or anything. There is sealants out there if you have concerns about the paint bleeding into the side walls of the routed out area. But as we're going to paint the whole thing with black afterwards on all the line work, it doesn't really matter. But I've certainly had no issue with this fencing wood as regards to bleeding and stuff. So nothing on the wood whatsoever. We're just going to mix up our acrylic paints with a bit of water, fill all the inner sections with the colours that we need, then we'll give it a light sanding over just to clear these bits off, because we will get paint on these. And then we'll just paint all that black and the side walls as well. Spray on some nice clear sealant at the end just to give it a little bit of a shine, and hopefully this little project will be finished. I'll go off and paint this now, and we'll come back when it's all nicely done. Right, that's it. This little project is finished. Now I finished Oscar off with 3 or 4 coats of the 151. This is clear lacquer gloss finish. That's something new I've just tried. I actually picked that up last week. I think I've done 2 projects with it, and it's absolutely really nice stuff. Gives it a lovely shine. If you just catch it right from there. So yeah, I'm really pleased with that one. Happy days, no problem. I painted the back for some reason, I don't know why, I just saved throwing the paint away that I'd put out. And that's it, this little project is finished. So there we have it, Oscar the Grouch from the TV series Sesame Street. He measured them at 12 inches by 6 inches. We routed him out with CNC bits for the lines, hand milling bits for the clear out, and then we cut it out quickly on a scroll saw with a Pegas number 5 spiral blade. All made on rough fencing wood. Give it a go. Just enjoy what you're doing. It doesn't matter if it's perfect. They're just fun little projects. And we'll go and find a spot for him on the shed with the rest of them. Thank you very much for watching.